I always thought our house had secrets, but I never imagined they'd be out of this world. It started the day I woke up to an empty home. It was my 17th birthday. No mom bustling in the kitchen, no dad's laughter echoing through the halls, just an eerie silence that made my heart race. I searched every room, calling their names, but there was no response. The clock on the wall ticked mockingly, amplifying my growing panic. Fast forwarding. It had been a year since they vanished, yet it felt like just yesterday. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across my lonely living room, they returned. But something was off. They looked both the same and different, yet the biggest shift was their eyes. Their eyes held secrets, a deep knowledge that wasn't there before. Mom's warm smile was now a careful, measured expression. Dad's hearty laugh, one of my favorite things about him, felt forced, as if he was trying to remember how it used to sound. "We were on a trip," Mom said, avoiding my gaze. But I knew that wasn't true. Trips don't last a year without a single word. One night, I overheard them whispering in hushed, urgent tones. "He can't know about the experiment," Dad said. Experiment? What were they talking about? Flustered, I decided to confront them. "Where were you really?" I demanded. The room fell silent. They exchanged a look as if to contemplate the truth, and finally, Dad spoke. "We were taken, son. In a UFO." He paused for what seemed like an eternity and painfully swallowed. By beings. "Not from this world," he finished, tilting his head oddly. My mind reeled. Aliens? That was stuff of movies, not real life. But the earnest look in their eyes told me they weren't B. "We were part of an experiment," Dad added. "They altered our minds, made us see the world differently." It was a lot to take in. My parents, the most ordinary people I knew, were part of something extraordinary, something terrifying. They were human, it seemed, yet not quite the same. I struggled to understand, to accept this new reality. My parents, the same people who taught me to ride a bike, who kissed my scraped knees, who comforted me after my first breakup with a girl, were now part of an alien mystery. Some nights my parents would disappear for hours on end. I was sure that they were going to meet with the aliens. It's like they knew things they shouldn't, like distant events happening at the same moment. They moved with a grace that was almost unnatural. And their eyes, those were the most haunting. There was a depth to them, a wisdom that spoke of galaxies far beyond our reach. I mean, even though it's my parents and I know them, it's like I don't really know them anymore. It was scary, guys. I learned to live with this new version of my parents, never fully understanding what had happened to them. But one thing was clear. Our world was just a small part of a vast, mysterious universe. And we were not alone. As I lay in bed each night, staring at the stars, I couldn't help but wonder about the beings that changed my family. Were they watching us? What did they plan for humanity? The questions lingered, unanswered, as I drifted into uneasy dreams, filled with stars and secrets too vast to comprehend.
The day I stepped onto the set of Endure or Perish, a reality show, I had no idea I was walking into a nightmare. Billed as the ultimate survival challenge, the show promised thrill and fame. But as our helicopter descended into the heart of an uncharted forest, I felt a twinge of unease. "Welcome to the wild," the host loudly declared with a showman's grin. "Here, you will face nature at its rawest. Outlast the wilderness, and fame awaits." His words, meant to inspire, felt ominous as we surveyed the dense, foreboding forest. Our first task was seemingly simple: establish a base camp. As a seasoned survival enthusiast, I took charge, guiding my fellow contestants in building shelters and sourcing water. We joked and laughed, unaware that the real challenge lay beyond the trees' shadows. The first sign of something amiss came on the third night. An inhuman howl shattered the stillness, sending chills down our spines. Just a wild animal. Or maybe the producers are just trying to get a reaction from us and scare us off. One contestant murmured, but I saw fear in her eyes. At daybreak, our sense of safety was broken, and we realized that we were not as safe as we had thought. Enormous, bizarre footprints surrounded our camp, unlike any creature known to man. it definitely wasn't a joke anymore. I mean, it was insane, you know? The reality of our situation sank. We were not alone in this forest. I mean, this was a highly marketed TV show. They couldn't just let us die out here, right? No one kept their cool. We all freaked out. Panic spread like wildfire. Some wanted to signal for rescue, but others, driven by the promise of fame and fortune, insisted we continue. The decision was made to stay, a choice we would soon regret. The forest changed us. Days blurred into nights as we encountered creatures that defied explanation, plants that moved of their own volition, animals that seemed a fusion of species. I remember a deer with eyes that glowed like embers, watching us with unnerving intelligence. One by one, contestants vanished. Some were taken in the night, others simply walked into the forest, never to return. We stopped speaking of rescue. Survival was our only goal. I found an unlikely ally in Mara, a biologist with a keen understanding of the forest's anomalies. Together, the only sane females left, we unraveled some of its mysteries, learning to avoid certain areas and creatures. But the forest was relentless, its dangers evolving with each passing day. The climax of our ordeal came when we stumbled upon the heart of the forest. Here, the trees seemed ancient, their roots entwined around a shimmering pool. Reflections in the water showed not our faces, but glimpses of other worlds, other realities. Mara theorized that the forest was a nexus, a point where different dimensions converged. It explained the bizarre creatures and the transformations we witnessed. But with this revelation came the realization that escape was not a matter of distance, but of understanding this convergence. Our rescue, when it came, was not by the show's crew, but by forces beyond our comprehension. As we were led out of the forest, I saw it transform, its horrors receding into the shadows. Back in civilization, I struggled to reconcile my experience. The show never aired. All evidence of our experience was suppressed. But Mara and I remember. We carry the forest's secrets, its warnings of worlds beyond our own, where survival takes on a meaning far beyond what any reality show could conceive. In the quaint village of Saitama, nestled between the whispering bamboo forests and the bustling cityscape of Tokyo, life was peaceful, almost timeless. My name is Hina, and I was the village's librarian, a guardian of stories. I had no idea at the time we were about to become part of a story more bizarre and terrifying than any I had ever read. It started subtly. Strange noises echoed from the sewers, and an unpleasant sulfurous odor wafted through the streets. We dismissed it as a minor inconvenience, a problem for the city engineers. But then, pets began to disappear, followed by chilling tales of something lurking in the shadows. The night I encountered it changed everything. I was walking home from a late shift at the library when a chilling gurgle from a nearby manhole stopped me in my tracks. An alien creature, hideous and serpentine, emerged, its eyes glowing with an eerie, unnatural light. I ran, heart pounding, knowing our world had just tilted into the unknown. The village gathered the next day, fear and confusion in their eyes. Old and wise Mrs. Sato, who claimed to have seen the world wars, whispered knowingly of ancient legends, of a serpent that dwelled in the depths, awakened by our modern indifference to nature. Her tales, once amusing anecdotes, now took on a demonic truth. It wasn't just one creature, there were more, slithering through our sewers, a network that connected our very homes. We realized we needed a plan, one that required understanding these entities, their patterns, their weaknesses. I dove into the village's archives, searching for anything that might help. Folktales, old maps of the sewer system, environmental reports. I pored over them, looking for a clue. And there it was, a pattern as old as the village itself, a cycle of awakening that coincided with the blooming of the rare ume flowers in the nearby forest. We devised a plan. Using the sewer maps, we isolated areas where the creatures were most active. The local hunters, led by stoic Mr. Tanaka, prepared traps, combining modern technology with ancient wisdom. We would lure the creatures out, then use a combination of sound and light, mimicking the natural deterrence from the legends. The night of the plan was tense. The village, usually alive with the sounds of night markets and laughter, was eerily silent. We waited, hearts in our throats as the hunters took their positions. The creatures emerged, drawn by the scent of bait we had placed. Then, with a cacophony of sound and bursts of bright light, we struck. The creatures recoiled, confused and disoriented, as we funneled them towards a section of old sewers, leading Avse from the village. Oh my God. I'm telling you, the sight of it all was the most frightening thing that any eye could ever see. But the plan worked. We sealed the ancient tunnels, trapping the creatures within, fervently praying that one fateful day they wouldn't find an escape and come to ruin us. For now, relief washed over us, but it was tinged with a newfound respect for the legends and lore of our ancestors. Life in Saitama returned to normal, but the memory of that night lingered. I often wonder about the creatures, hoping they found peace in their dark, forgotten world beneath our feet. And as I sit in the library, surrounded by stories of heroes and monsters, I smile, knowing we have our own tale of courage and unity, a tale for the next generation.